On the monitors in Olivia's dark lab, the planet does not look like land and water. It looks like light. Soft points of color drift across a black globe on the main screen. Each dot is a human in REM sleep. Each dot is a live brain, sending faint signals through implants, home headbands, and hospital scanners. The system gathers them into a glowing map of sleeping minds. Most nights, the map is a blur of random waves and spikes. Tonight, it is not. Olivia leans closer. Her eyes adjust to the dim blue of the room. The harmonic band at the bottom of the screen should look like noise. Instead, the peaks are starting to line up. Long, steady teeth form in the graph, rising and falling together across continents. Her console blinks. Encrypted live feed, LLNL. She accepts. Mark Benson's face appears in a small corner window, tight and pale. No greetings. He just sends a data stream. A spectral overlay appears on her screen, in sharp white. It shows the same pattern, pulsing from a crystal core taken from a black, drowned ruin far under Antarctic ice. The match is exact. In a sealed room at Travis Air Force Base, Lieutenant Aaron Blake sleeps under a thin blanket. His eyes twitch fast beneath closed lids. A bedside mic records his breathing, then catches rough sounds as his lips start to move. His voice is low and strange, shaped by a language he has never learned. Numbers slip in between foreign words. They are not random. They are coordinates. Across the planet, 3 groups who have not spoken to each other are seeing the same city in their dreams. Olivia stares at the twin signals, brain and crystal. The pattern grows stronger. This is not noise. This is not a glitch. This is a message. And almost every dreaming human on Earth is already tuned in. The lights in Lab 3B never fully go dark, even at 02:17 a.m., when most of Palo Alto sleeps under a thin, dirty haze of marine fog. The Neuroresonance campus glows in soft gold and blue. Tall sensor towers ring the buildings like metal trees, their tips blinking in gentle rhythm. Drones drift silently above, watching heat signatures and air currents. Inside, Dr. Olivia Carter sits alone at her central station. 4 curved monitors wrap around her like a quiet wall. On them, the world appears as shifting maps of data: temperature, population, RAM density, harmonic bands. Every few seconds, numbers update. Streams of raw brainwave data slide past in lines of green and white. Olivia presses her fingers against the ceramic mug at her side. The tea went cold an hour ago, but she keeps it there for the weight and feel of it. It anchors her. Global RAM density at 62% and rising, the system says in a calm female voice. Peak window in 17 minutes. Show me the Americas bandwidth, Olivia says. The left monitor zooms into 2 continents. Thousands of tiny dots bloom into view, each showing an active sleep node. Most are homes, some are hospitals and care centers. A few are military bases with deeper encryption and fuzzed coordinates, but the brainwaves still feed in. For years, this system had a simple task: study dreams at scale. Olivia helped design it when she was in her late 20s. Cheap neural headbands had turned sleep into a health metric. People wanted better dreams, deeper rest, targeted therapy. Governments wanted better data on stress and mood. Corporations wanted more ways to sell calm. Her team built a system that could watch the world sleep. But Olivia's real interest was never just sleep. It was the strange, repeating signal she kept hearing in rare clinical cases. Reports from patients whose dreams carried the same odd rhythm, as if they were all catching a faint, distant song. Back then, it looked like superstition, random pattern seeking, noise. Tonight, it does not. Highlight harmonic band theta 2, she says. The bottom of the main screen brightens. Horizontal lines of blue stack across a live timeline. Each line is a frequency band. Together they form a moving picture of how millions of brains are firing during REM. Usually it looks like a blizzard. Tonight, certain peaks rise in near-perfect rows. She zooms in. The graph enlarges until individual teeth in the wave fill the display. They are almost equally spaced. They shift together, up and down, across nations. Cross-check against baseline randomness models, she says quietly. A bounding box appears on the right with probability scores. For a moment they lag, then stabilize. Random signal. R.00000. Structured pattern, R.9997. Her chest tightens, then steadies. Breathing slows. She is used to stress. She has been in emergency wards. She has sat at bedsides while screens screamed arrhythmia and nurses ran. But this feels different. This is not about a single failing brain. This is the world, humming in time. Her left monitor buzzes. Incoming, Mark Benson, LLNL, priority channel. She accepts. Mark's face appears, lit by harsh overhead light. His hair is shorter than the last time she saw him in person, and there is more gray at his temples. "Olivia," he says, skipping greetings. "Tell me you're seeing it too." "Harmonic in Theta 2, she asks. "Global alignment over the last 90 minutes. He nods once. Our Antarctic core woke up at the same time. He sends a packet. A new window opens. Spectral data from a crystal sample marked Ant-Lem-19C. It comes from a strange ruin under Antarctic ice that has divided scientists for the last decade. "We were running a stability test," Mark says. "Core 19C was inside the isolation chamber. No external stimulation. At 0143 UTC, it started emitting on its own. On the screen, she sees the frequency ladder climb. At first weak, then stronger, then steady. Overlay with global REM Theta 2, she says. The system obeys. 2 graphs merge. Blue for global REM, white for crystal emission. They fit on top of each other like 2 matched keys. Her throat goes dry. "How sure are you this isn't feedback?" she asks. "A lab artifact? We killed every input line," Mark says. "Then we moved the core into Faraday containment. The signal kept going, same pattern, same phase. So your crystal is singing the same thing our brains are." He exhales slowly. That's one way to put it. She leans back, chair creaking. The ceiling is a dark grid of vents and silent micro-drones. For a moment, she thinks of her older brother, Daniel, lying in a hospital bed years ago, his brain smashed by a disease that ate myelin like fire eats dry grass. His EEG back then had been a mess of broken waves. No rhythm, no chance to repair. If something can push millions of living brains into the same rhythm at once, she thinks, it can also change them. "Mark," she says, "send me the full raw stream from the core, last 4 hours, and grant my system rights to cross-compare with global REM in real time." "It's already on the way," he says. "Olivia, the Antarctic Council is nervous. The military liaison is already on call. They're not going to like that civilian sleep grids are locking to this thing." "Too bad," she says. "It's already done." He gives a tight, humorless smile. Some things don't change. The feed cuts. Her system pings. Data received. Lines of numbers pour into a shaded directory. At the same time, the main harmonic band thickens. More brains are slipping into REM as night rolls across the Atlantic, then Brazil, then the scattered islands of the Pacific. "Run correlation scan," she says. "Crystal core 19C versus global REM, full spectrum, bars flicker. Correlation above 98% in harmonic band Theta 2, the voice says. Phase offset trending to 0. Meaning, brainwave harmonic and crystal emission are increasingly synchronized." She pulls up a world map and overlays the harmonic strength. Hot zones bloom in certain places. Large cities, dense housing, refugee megacamps near Lima and Lagos. Arcology rings in China, the flooded edges of old New York where tall towers now stand in shallow water. Humanity is tired, stressed, overstimulated, asleep when possible. "Show me outliers," she says. "Locations where the harmonic is strongest relative to population." New markers pop up. She leans closer. A tag flashes. Travis AFB, Sleep Lab 2. She frowns. Travis is not part of her main civilian grid. Access comes from a special agreement and is supposed to be anonymized, low detail, yet the system still shows enough. "Details on that node," she orders. "Travis Air Force Base, California. Subject ID AB47. Age 32. Rank Lieutenant." The voice replies. "Subject under contract for controlled REM induction experiments. Neural implant grade. secure military standard. Status: in REM sleep, harmonic theta 2 strength, 99.7 percentile. A tiny live feed from the lab camera appears. Aaron Blake lies on a narrow bed, chest rising and falling. A thin band rests on his forehead, linked to the ceiling by a swaying cord. Sensors cling to his chest and hands. His eyes dart fast beneath closed lids. Audio, she asks. Baseline breathing and soft vocalization, the system says. Flagged for unusual phonetic range. Play last 30 seconds. The speakers crackle. At first, just steady breath. Then a rough sound, like a first word pushed through a dry throat. Sauté, Maru, Kel, 3-7 his voice mutters. Kelith, Tare, 5. The syllables are sharp, clipped. Mixed in are clear numerals. 3, 7, 5. She taps a key. The system freezes the sound and runs it against language databases. Language family unknown, it reports. Phonemes partially match no recognized live language. Mild overlap with reconstructed proto-languages in historic linguistic archives. She stares at Aaron's face on the screen. Cross-check those coordinates with polar grids, she says. A map pops up. Lines cross along a point in the Southern Ocean, near Antarctica, not far from the site of the Lemurian ruins. Her back prickles. Push alert to mark, she says. Flag subject to Travis AFB, vocalizing coordinates near ante-Lem sites. REM harmonic at peak. Audio sample attached. Sent, the system replies. The clock creeps toward the global REM peak window. More points on the world map flare into full color as sleepers drop into their deepest dreams. This would be exciting enough on its own. Proof of a new, global pattern in REM. Papers, books, funding. But Olivia's instincts churn in a different way. This feels like contact. But contact with what? Her inner feed blinks. Message from Mark. Olivia. His voice comes through in a tight clip. The Antarctic core is now broadcasting a secondary modulation. Same base harmonic. New overlays. Our deep sonar is picking up similar patterns in the ice shelf near the ruins. And the military just informed me they've got dream reports from Travis. Your lieutenant is describing structures that match our interior sonar scans from the submerged site. Her fingers move before her mind fully catches up. Pull Travis dream logs, she says. Subject AB-47. Last 10 sessions. Restricted, the system replies. Military clearance level required. Olivia bites her lip. Override under Neuroresonance Global Health Protocol 9 Alpha, she says. Reason, suspected global harmonic event. The system pauses, then clicks softly. Override accepted. She opens the logs. Text scrolls past. Short interview transcripts taken after each sleep session. Separate dates, different technicians, different times of day. But the content lines up. Session 3. Wide plaza. Very quiet. Pale stone. Water channels cut into the floor. Session 4. Tall, smooth towers. No seams. Light without a sun. Session 6. Long hall with pillars. Each pillar shows shapes, not letters. More like feelings made visible. Session 9. A room with a dome. Ceiling shows the night sky, but the stars move in paths I've never seen. I think they're trying to show something. She scrolls faster. Session 10. Tonight. No debrief yet. Still live. Her heart settles into a slower beat. Years of practice. Breathe. Observe. Think. Olivia had grown up with science charts on the wall and star maps above her bed. Her parents had told her that curiosity was not a hobby, it was a duty. After Daniel died, it became something else too, a promise. If the brain could fail, it could also be understood. No more mysteries, no more shrugging at the darkest parts of human experience. If something is talking through dreams, she thinks, then ignoring it is worse than fear. System, she says. Scan global REM streams for shared dream content. Use image-associated EEG markers. Compare for recurring visual patterns. Processing, the voice says. Estimated time, 3 minutes. She stands and stretches her legs. The lab is empty except for a tangled charging station for headsets. 2 other darkened desks, and a wall covered in quiet graphs. Outside, in the hallway, a cleaning drone hums past, like a lazy beetle. On the far wall is a framed photo of the first full test of the global REM grid, taken 8 years ago. Everyone is smiling. Olivia too, hair a little longer, eyes less tired. Daniel is not in the photo. He had been gone for almost 15 years by then. She turns away before old grief pulls too hard. The system pings. Preliminary match set ready, it says. Shared pattern found in 11% of all sampled dreams since emergence of harmonic event. Visual summary, Olivia says. The monitors flicker. A simple composite image appears, built from overlapping neural markers and known references. The system does not see dreams like a camera, but it can guess. The image shows a wide, pale plaza, smooth stone, a sense of open air, but no visible sun. Lines of water or light run through grooves in the floor. In the distance, tall, seamless towers rise into a soft, bright sky. She stares at it, a chill tracing along her arms. "This matches Travis reports," she says softly, "and Mark's sonar interior models." "Yes," the system replies. "High probability match to submerged structure geometry, adjusted for scale and environment." Her console buzzes again. Live ping from Mark. "Olivia, you're not going to like this," he says when his face appears. "Our Antarctic team just reported spontaneous room induction in 3 staff on site. They all fell asleep within a 20-minute window. All 3 described the same plaza you just sent me. They have no implants, no dream training, and at least 2 went into REM faster than biologically normal. So whatever this is," she says slowly, "it doesn't just ride our equipment, it can touch brains straight. The council wants us to treat this as an unknown biohazard," Mark says. "They're talking about sedation bans, sleep monitors at ports, lockdowns. Like that will help," Olivia says. "They can ban dreams." Silence hangs between them for a moment. "Look," Mark says, softer now. "You always said consciousness might be more than noise and meat. Maybe you just got your wish." Her jaw tightens. "My wish was to keep brains from failing in the dark, not to wake up something that might not be friendly." "Friendly or not," Mark says, "it's here, and it's in Antarctica and our patients at the same time." She looks back at the glowing plaza on her screen. "The signal is structured," she says. "It's repeating. It ties sleeping brains on different continents to a physical source under the ice. That means it carries information, and information can be studied." "Agreed," Mark says. "What do you need?" "Controlled subjects," she replies without hesitation. "Real-time monitoring. People we can send into REM with implants and watch every spike and wave while they're there. People like your Lieutenant Blake, but under my supervision as well as yours." "You're asking to step into the shared dream," Mark says. "On purpose. Our subjects are already walking there," she says. "We just haven't been watching closely. That ends now." He pauses, then nods once. "You'll talk to the liaison. We can form a joint protocol. But Olivia, if this thing can align our dreaming minds, it might also be able to change us." She looks down at her hands. They are steady. "It already is." He signs off. Olivia stands alone with the screens and the low hum of machines. Outside, night pools around the lab, carrying millions of sleepers inside it. Their minds glow soft blue on her map, tiny lights in a growing field. She knows what she has to do. First, prove beyond doubt that this is a real, structured message, not random noise. Second, find out what it wants, or at least what it is trying to show. Third, decide how much of the world should hear it. "System," she says, "open a new project. Title Harmonic Under the World." "Project created," the voice replies. "Link all global REM streams, Travis data, and Antarctic crystal emission into a single live framework. Begin building a models map of the shared dream environment. From now on, any dream report that includes plazas, smooth stone towers, or non-solar light is flagged and sent to my station." "Acknowledged," the system says. On the main map, the blue dots shift slightly. Far away, under kilometers of ice and dark water, the Lemurian crystal core sings to itself in a frequency no human ear can hear. The signal climbs, steady and sure. The world dreams on. The first time Olivia sees the city in real time, she is not asleep. It is late afternoon. Sunlight lies on the lab windows in flat, bright sheets, broken by the shadows of the sensor towers outside. Rain drifts in thin lines against the glass, pushed sideways by a cold wind from the bay. On her main screen, Lieutenant Aaron Blake drops into REM. He lies in a government lab 30 kilometers away at Travis Air Force Base, but his brain is here in her system, drawn as clean lines and glowing points. Subject AB-47 entering REM. The soft voice reports, neural implant link stable, harmonic theta-2 alignment at 96% and rising, visual feedback. Olivia asks. She has spent the last 3 days building something new, a model that can take live fMRI and EEG data from a dreamer and guess, in simple shapes and colors, what the dream might look like. Old tech, updated with new quantum mesh models from Mark's team. She calls it the dream surface. Dream surface stream engaged, the system says. A blank gray field appears on the right monitor. Then, slowly at first, shapes form. A wide open space. Flat, pale ground. Lines of brightness running in grooves. It's the plaza, she says under her breath. Confirming match, the system says. 91% similarity to composite shared environment. The simulation sharpens. The plaza stretches out in all directions. The ground looks like stone but is too smooth, almost like polished bone. Shallow channels cross it, filled with light that behaves like water, flowing, pooling, splitting at sharp corners. On the far side of the plaza, tall towers rise. They are thin but not fragile. Their sides are so smooth they seem to be grown, not built. No windows, no doors in sight. The sky above them is a pale, even glow with no sun, no clouds, no clear source. Olivia has seen static composites built from past dreams. She has read dozens of reports. But this is different. This is live. As Aaron's brain flares, the dream surface shifts in small, subtle ways. The light in the channels trembles when his heart rate jumps. The color at the horizon cools or warms with his limbic swings. She hears his voice through the audio feed. Plaza again, he mutters in his sleep. Same feeling, calm, like a waiting room with no walls. Subject vocalizing, the system notes. Is he aware he is in a study? Asks a new voice on the line. Olivia glances at the top of her screen. A small tag reads, Observer, Colonel Rebecca James, Travis AFB. Yes, Olivia says. He's trained for lucid REM tasks. We're not surprising him. And the signal, the colonel asks. Her tone is flat, clipped. Is it stronger than before? Harmonic alignment at 98%, the system answers. Crystal core 19T emission, currently in sync. Phase offset near zero. Olivia steals her voice. Colonel James, thank you for letting us run this session under shared control. If the signal stays stable, we'll guide Aaron toward specific landmarks to test how the dream reacts. We agreed to this because your friend at Livermore said it was the safest way to understand what is happening to my pilots, the colonel says. Do not forget that. I won't, Olivia says softly. She turns back to the dream surface. A small glowing dot appears in the center of the plaza model. A label floats above it, AB-47. Subject position tracked, the system says. Aaron, Olivia says, speaking into the mic. Her voice travels through a low latency link to the speaker in his sleep lab. If you can hear me, you are in the shared city again. Try to look at your feet. In the audio feed, his breathing slows. Feet, he mumbles, bare. Warm floor, no dust. On the dream surface, the view tips down for a moment. The ground below the dot glows slightly, as if reacting to his contact. Small waves of light move out from his position in circles. Subject awareness of body confirmed, the system says. Lucidity level, moderate. Aaron, Olivia says, I want you to look at the towers now. Pick the closest one and describe it. Tall, he says after a pause. Smooth, no seams. Feels old, but not worn. Any doors? Not at the ground, he murmurs. It's like it's waiting for a rule. I don't know. Like it wants a password, but not in words. Olivia glances at the data from the crystal core. Under the Antarctic ice, the Lemurian artifact is active. Its harmonic matches Aaron's brain almost stroke for stroke. On Mark's end, quantum noise graphs show subtle patterns too clean to be random. The city is not just a dream, it is a kind of interface. Subject limbic arousal rising slightly. The system notes, recommend caution. Aaron, Olivia says, calm and slow. I'd like you to walk toward the tower, but stop when you feel any strong change, in the air or in your own feeling. Do not push through if you feel fear spike. Copy, he mutters. The glowing dot begins to move across the plaza on the screen. As it goes, the light in the floor channels shifts, aligning into smooth lines that guide his path. They did not do that in earlier composites. Did you see that? She asks quietly. Yes, Mark's voice comes through another channel. He is watching from Lawrence Livermore, his screen tied to both her system and the Antarctic feeds. The environment is reacting to his intent. It's like a user interface built out of meaning, Olivia says. No buttons. It reshapes around what he focuses on. This matches some of our quantum communication models, Mark says. Information encoded in correlated states, not in fixed bits. The city is the map of possible thoughts. Keep your metaphors, the colonel cuts in. Tell me if it's dangerous. Olivia ignores the sting. Fear is normal. The colonel's job is to keep people safe. Olivia's job is to understand a thing before it harms by surprise. On the dream surface, Aaron closes in on the tower. As he approaches, a rectangular outline forms ahead of him, low and wide, like a doorway swelling out of smooth stone. Door, he murmurs. Yeah, it's drawing itself, like it heard you. Limbic arousal rising. The system warns again. Heart rate plus 12%. Mild sweat response. Aaron, Olivia says, take a slow breath. This is just data. You are safe in a lab. The tower cannot hurt you. His breathing steadies a little. Okay, he says. Door feels not bad. More like assessment. Like it's checking if I'm ready. An odd phrase. She files it away. The doorway fully forms on the model. Beyond it, the system guesses a dim interior, but the details stay fuzzy. The crystal core's emission shows a small spike. Mark, she asks. I see it, he says. The core reacts when he reaches certain spots. We've seen similar spikes when Antarctic staff described halls and rooms. These might be the nodes you talked about. Dream nodes, stable spots in the shared environment, designed for specific tasks. Okay, Olivia says softly into the mic. Aaron, I'd like you to step just inside the door. If anything feels wrong, step back out right away. Copy, he says. The dot edges forward and crosses the threshold. The dream surface view jumps. Inside, a long hall stretches ahead. Pale pillars rise on both sides, reaching into a ceiling that curves gently like a dome. Each pillar glows with slow-moving patterns, shapes that are not quite images. Curves, lines, flashes of color. Some make Olivia feel calm just by looking at them on the screen. Others send a small jolt of sadness or quiet joy through her chest. This matches multiple prior reports, the system says. Subjective description, Hall of Feelings. Aaron's voice is soft, almost awed. They're not words. I look at a pillar, and I get a package, like a whole memory, but not mine. Olivia feels her skin prickle. A memory bank, stored not in words or pictures, but in patterns that trigger state changes in any mind tuned to this channel. Can you focus on one pillar, she asks, and try to describe what you feel without losing yourself in it? He'll try, he says. His dot pauses beside a pillar. On the screen, the patterns on it intensify, swirling into a clear form, a spiral that widens, closes, then flips inside out in a smooth cycle. Aaron gasps softly. Feels like leaving home and coming back at the same time, he says, sad and hopeful. Like whoever made this was saying, we lost so much, but something still waits ahead. Olivia's throat tightens. It sounds like grief carried through ages. Aaron, she says, step back from the pillar, look to the center of the hall. Is there anything there? He obeys. The dot moves. At the far end of the hall, a circular platform rises from the floor. Above it, the air looks thick, like glass turned liquid. I see something like a pool, he says, hanging in the air. If I look at it too long, I feel like I'll fall up into it. Do not touch it, the colonel says sharply through the line. I wasn't planning to, he mutters in his sleep, surprising a little laugh from Olivia. Even here, some habits hold. Limbic arousal moderate, the system says. No signs of panic. Olivia watches the emission from the Antarctic core. The signal shows a new pattern now, riding on top of the base harmonic. Mark's team is already breaking it into parts, treating it like a code. This hall, Olivia says quietly, more to Mark and the colonel than to Aaron, is a node. It's stable across many dreamers. It reacts to approach. It offers streams of emotion shaped into lessons. That makes it part of a larger design, a shared architecture. A training ground, Mark says, or a museum, or a filter, the colonel adds, a way to test who can handle what. Olivia cannot argue with that. She has seen what strong emotion can do to fragile minds, even without strange ancient machines involved. Aaron, she says, turn around. Walk back out to the plaza. Then look for any other path that pulls your attention. Copy, he says, sounding a bit tired. As he moves back through the doorway, the patterns on the pillars slow and dim. The light in the hall settles. On the Antarctic feed, the core's emission eases back to its base harmonic. The plaza opens around him again. Towers rise. The channels of light in the floor curve to meet at points like nodes in a network. Multiple attractor paths detected, the system says. Subject likely to feel different pulls in various directions. Aaron, Olivia says, tell me which way feels most right to you. He turns his mental gaze slowly. On the model, the view rotates. To the left, a low arch over a dark passage gives off a faint chill. To the right, a series of steps climb to a raised platform with nothing on it. Straight ahead, between two towers, there is only open space. Straight, he says. It feels neutral, like a default path. Follow that, she says. Walk until something changes. As he moves, the dream surface registers small shifts. The color of the open sky warms. A soft sound rises, not through the speakers, but as an imagined hum in Olivia's mind. The Antarctic core's patterns change speed, as if something deep under the ice is paying closer attention. Mark's voice cuts in. Low, our quantum calm model is going crazy. The signal behaves like a network handshake, as if it just recognized his intent and is offering higher bandwidth. In plain language, the colonel says flatly. As he engages deeper, it reacts more and opens more paths, Mark answers. Olivia's eyes narrow. This entire city, she says, thinking aloud, is like a mental interface. It uses shared symbols, plazas, towers, halls, to give structure to something more abstract. Then it reacts to each person's choices. Can you map that? The colonel asks. Turn it into something we can predict. That's what we're doing right now, Olivia says. On the screen, something new appears in front of Aaron. A simple, upright shape stands in the open space ahead, humanoid, featureless. Its surface is made of the same smooth, pale material as the towers, but faint patterns flicker across it, quick bursts of dark and light, like the pillars in the hall, but faster and smaller. A figure, Aaron says softly. First time I've seen anyone here. Vital signs, the colonel demands. Stable, the system says. Mild curiosity. No signs of acute fear. Aaron, Olivia says carefully. How do you feel when you look at it? Strange, he says after a pause. Not scared. It feels careful, like it's trying not to push too hard, like it's matching my distance. Olivia watches the data. As he thinks this, the figure in the dream surface shifts slightly, mirroring his posture, then stopping. It feels like watching two people nod at each other from across a room. Subject brain activity shows pattern matching. The system notes high synchronization in social processing regions. It's learning him, Mark says quietly, or he's sinking to it, or both, Olivia says. She swallows. She did not expect a direct presence this soon. Aaron, she says. Try a simple test. In your mind, lift your right hand, see if it responds. On the screen, the dot's orientation shifts as he imagines the motion. The pale figure raises its left hand, mirroring him. Okay, he says. That felt like gentle pressure in my arm. Not from it, more like the city itself, helping me complete the motion. Shared control, Olivia says. Cooperative guidance. She feels a shade of awe. This is not a dumb hallucination. This is an adaptive system, meeting a human halfway, using simple mirroring to build trust. Aaron, she says, I want you to step back now. We have enough for this session. Slowly count to 10 in your head and focus on waking up. The Colonel's relief comes through as a quiet, rough exhale on the line. On the dream surface, the plaza fades. The towers dissolve into gray. Aaron's dot flickers and goes dark as his brain passes through the light stage before waking. Session complete, the system says. Subject AB-47, exiting REM. Olivia leans back and presses her hands over her face for a moment, then drops them. Mark, she asks. I recorded everything, he says. We'll run the crystal signal through our full quantum models. Early guess, the city is made of something like interference patterns. It uses stable structures, the plaza, the hall, the figure, as anchor points. The rest is flexible, adjusting to each dreamer. Shared dream architecture, Olivia says. A mental city that looks the same to many people because it's built on a stable code. But within that, each mind takes slightly different paths. The Colonel cuts in, and this, architecture as you call it, comes from under the ice. The signal does, Olivia says. Our brains build the local version, but the plan, the template, the rules, that seems to live in the Lemurian crystal network. Lemurian, the Colonel repeats, a bit of tired disbelief in her tone. You scientists named it after an old myth. We named it after a location in those myths, Mark says, back when we thought these were just strange rock formations, before we found rooms and devices. And before our people started seeing those rooms in their sleep, the Colonel adds. There is a brief pause. Colonel James, Olivia says, choosing her words. If this system is reaching more minds every night, we need to understand its structure. That means more sessions like this, with controls, with safety rules, with your oversight. I do not like sending my men and women into unknown mental spaces tied to an alien. Not alien, Mark cuts in. We don't know that. The more data we collect, the more it looks like this was built by a human or near-human civilization that lived here long before our recorded history. Dead civilization, the Colonel says. Their plans, their goals, their ethics, all unknown. They buried this under ice, maybe for a reason. Or the ice buried them, Olivia says quietly. Silence. Finally, the Colonel sighs. Run your tests. But I want full briefings before each session. And if anything starts to cause lasting harm, paranoia, hallucinations while awake, loss of self, I shut it down. Understood? Understood, Olivia says. The line clicks as the Colonel drops off. Olivia is alone with the hum of the lab again. On her screen, the dream surface reverts to a neutral grid. But in the data underneath, the plaza, the hall, and the figure are clear as day. Patterns repeated across many brains in many places. She pulls up the global map. In India, a 12-year-old girl in Mumbai dreams of walking across a silent courtyard of pale stone, hand in hand with a mother who died last year. In Brazil, an old man in Manaus drifts through a room of pillars and wakes with tears on his face but no memory of why. In Poland, a programmer in Warsaw dreams of towers with no windows and wakes up with a clear solution to a code problem that has bothered him for days. The shared dream environment is not just for trained subjects. It is already slipping into the sleep of millions. New spontaneous dream logs flagged, the system says. Would you like a summary? Yes, Olivia says. Recurring elements. The voice continues. Plaza with smooth stone. Towers without visible openings. Halls with pillars showing patterns that trigger strong emotion. A sense of calm purpose. In a small subset of cases, encounters with pale, featureless figures. No reports of direct speech. Emotional states during these dreams trend toward calm, sadness, relief, and a feeling of being observed, but not threatened. Minor, the system says. Increased heart rate in some. Occasional waking confusion. No stable psychosis markers yet. Yet. She exhales slowly. Mark, she says over the secure line, what do your models say about how this thing talks? They say it is using the cheapest path, he answers. Emotion first. It wraps its data in feelings. When Aaron looks at a pillar, he feels a whole packet of meaning. Words are too slow. Images are slower. States are fastest. It makes sense, she says. Feelings are old. Language is new. If this system was built tens of thousands of years ago, it would hook into what all humans share, no matter what tongue they speak. Exactly, Mark says. Also, the quantum field fluctuations around the core suggest something even stranger. Stranger than a dream city in our heads, she asks. He hesitates. We think the signal is not just broadcasting, he says. It's listening, adjusting in real time based on the patterns it gets back from us. When Aaron hesitated at the door, the core's emission changed. When he engaged the pillar, it changed again. It's a closed loop. A conversation, she says softly. Yes, Mark replies. Slow and simple for now. But as more people enter deep nodes, the complexity might grow. The architecture might unfold new areas that we haven't seen yet. She imagines the city spreading in ways they cannot yet map. More halls, more figures, deeper levels, tests, lessons. Whatever the system holds, it might reveal in stages. What if it is a kind of training program? She asks. What if it is a memory bank? Mark counters. A massive archive of experience saved after a catastrophe. The plaza could be the entry point, the hall a primer on loss and hope, the figure a simple social interface to build trust before it shows more. Or all of that at once, she says. They fall quiet. Possibilities line up in her mind like towers on the plaza. Consciousness as a channel, dreams as routers, ancient minds building something that could bridge ages. When she was a child, she thought dreams were private, a secret place no one could enter. After Daniel's illness, she had wished to join him in his sleep and reach where his waking mind could no longer go. Now, in a strange twist, she is helping connect billions of minds to a shared place built by a vanished people. Olivia, Mark says, pulling her back. The Antarctic Council wants a joint paper for internal eyes, a first attempt to describe the shared dream architecture. They want you on it. You'll write it, she says. But this is more than a paper. I know, he says. She ends the call and opens a blank document. Title, Preliminary Model of the Shared Dream Architecture. She starts to type in plain, careful language. Not for journals, not for history, for the people in charge who will soon ask hard questions. She describes the plaza as a stable entry zone, the halls as emotional memory nodes, the towers as potential deep channels not yet used, the figures as simple adaptive guides rather than beings with their own will. She leaves that last piece open. The truth is, she does not know if those figures are just smart patterns or something more. It is too early to say. By the time she finishes the draft, outside light has turned orange, then gray. The fog thickens. The campus towers vanish in it, their tips just faint glows. She rubs her eyes and stands up. System, she says. For the next 48 hours, I want round-the-clock tracking of any dream reports involving direct teaching behavior from the shared environment. That includes new skills, sudden insights, or strong urges to build or draw specific shapes after waking. Pattern search defined, the voice says. Tracking engaged. She pauses at the door to the lab and looks back at the screens. The world map glows calmly. Tiny lights for sleeping minds. The harmonic band at the bottom of the screen has settled into a smooth, strong rhythm. People all over the planet are walking in the same city tonight, feeling the same soft pull toward halls and figures that wait. The shared dream architecture is not an idea anymore. It is a place, a new layer of reality that sits under every pillow and on every couch where a tired person closes their eyes. Before she leaves, Olivia records a quick message. This is Dr. Olivia Carter, she says. Day 3 of Harmonic Event. We have confirmed a stable shared environment that behaves like a designed interface. It matches structural data from Lemurian ruins under Antarctic ice. It reacts to individual choices and appears to present emotional lessons through fixed nodes. Early signs suggest it is part of a planetary memory and communication system. Risk level, unknown. Potential benefit, massive. Ethical questions, many. She ends the recording. Outside, the air is cold and damp. The sky hangs low. As she walks across the courtyard, she looks up at the sensor towers. Their lights blink in slow, steady rhythm. Later that night, when she finally lies in her own bed and lets her eyes close, she feels the harmonic hum beneath her thoughts, a soft pulse, not in her ears but in her chest. Sleep takes her faster than she expects. In her dream, the plaza is waiting. The wind at the bottom of the world feels like it comes from space. It slams against the metal skin of the transport plane, making the frame shudder. Outside the small round window, the sky is a hard, flat white, broken only by jagged lines of ice. Dr. Olivia Carter grips the armrest and focuses on her breathing. She is not afraid of flying, but this is different from short hops over California. The air is thinner. The engines howl harder. The GPS map on the seat screen shows nothing but blue and white, and the slow creep of their icon toward the Antarctic Research Zone. Across the aisle, Mark Benson watches a tablet full of shifting graphs. The light from the screen turns his face pale green. His seatbelt is fastened tight. His legs bounce with restless energy. "How's the core?" Olivia asks, raising her voice over the engine noise. "Active," he says. "Crystal emission stable. Harmonic locked to global REM grid. If anything, the signal's stronger this week. And you still don't know why it turned on now," she says. He shrugs one shoulder. "Best guess. Critical mass. Enough implants. Enough sleep trackers. Enough connected brains. Maybe the system needed a certain number of tuned receivers before it woke fully. Or the ice shifted," Olivia says. "Or some internal timer hit its mark. Or something out there pinged it. Pick your favorite mystery," Mark says dryly. A light above them blinks. A calm, recorded voice announces. 10 minutes to descent. Temperature at surface, -33 degrees Celsius. Please secure all loose equipment. Olivia checks the data slate in her lap. A world map glows faintly. Blue dots for sleepers. A bold red marker for the Lemurian site, Ant Lem Complex Alpha. Below that, REM Harmonic Link, active. She closes her eyes for a moment. Last night, before they left Palo Alto, she dreamed of the city again. It was clearer this time. The plaza ran in longer lines. The towers felt closer. In the hall of pillars, she saw a new pattern, a spiral of tiny figures holding hands, breaking apart, then forming a larger ring. When she woke, her pillow was wet. She could not remember crying. "Thinking about your dream?" Mark asks quietly. "A little," she says. "Mostly thinking about what happens when we walk into the place those dreams came from." "Don't forget your theory," he says. "The city in the dreams is not a copy of this place. It's an interface, shaped for our minds. The ruins under the ice are the machinery, not the picture on the screen." "That doesn't make me feel much better," she says, but there is a faint smile at the edge of her mouth. The plane dips, her stomach lifts. Out the window, the sky clears enough to show a stretch of broken blue-white ice shelf. Far ahead, a line of dark dots marks the research station. The ice field on the ground is bright enough to hurt her eyes when they step out. The air slaps every bit of exposed skin. It steals breath. Her lungs burn on the first inhale, then adjust. The sky is a deep, empty blue. The sun a harsh disk just above the horizon, smeared by blowing snow. They walk in a tight line from the plane to the main dome, guided by ropes and reflective stakes. The snow crunches under their heavy boots. Wind tears at the fur trim of their hoods. The main dome of Antarctic Research Zone Epsilon is a white half-sphere with a steel ring at its base. It sits on thick stilts above the ice, with a cluster of smaller domes and towers around it like children clinging to a parent. Inside, the air is dry and warmer. The light is yellow and soft. People move through narrow halls in thick socks and base layers. Faces a bit red from the cold outside. "Welcome to Epsilon," says a tall woman at the airlock. Her hair is shaved on the sides and braided down the back. She wears a badge, Dr. Maya Sato, site director. She shakes their gloved hands. "You must be tired," she says. "We'll get you warmed up and briefed. Mark, your team is already in the core lab. Dr. Carter, I've set aside a private room for you near the neuroresonance bay." "Thank you," Olivia says. Her voice comes out a little rough. The cold has scraped at her throat. They follow Maya down a narrow corridor. The walls are lined with photos. The first drill team, the first sonar scan of the black shapes. Under the ice, the first grainy image of a crystal array, glowing faintly under artificial light. "This station was simple at first," Maya says as they walk. "Ice cores, old climate data. Then we started getting weird sonar returns under the shelf. Straight lines. Right angles. That's when the Lemurian Council formed." "The what?" Olivia asks. Maya smiles thinly. "Official name, International Antarctic Prehistoric Structure Advisory Council. But that's a mouthful. Off the record, everyone just says Lemurian Council. We needed something shorter than that group of governments and corporations that argues about who owns the weird stuff under the ice." Mark snorts softly. Maya stops at a thick door with a keypad. "Before we go down," she says, looking at Olivia, "I want to ask you a question." "All right," Olivia says. "Do you think this thing is safe?" Maya asks. "Not the bunkers, not the drills. The signal, the city in people's dreams." Olivia pauses. "I think safe is too simple," she says slowly. "I think the system under the ice was built to guide minds in some way. That can be helpful or harmful, depending on how it's used. Right now, it's touching people without their consent. That worries me." Maya studies her for a moment, then nods. "Good," she says. "I prefer people who are worried. People who think they already have the answers scare me." She palms the keypad. The door opens with a heavy click. "Come," she says. "Time to see what's under our feet." They descend 3 flights of metal stairs into the core lab. Here, the air feels different. Cooler, with a damp tang of melted ice. The walls are lined with screens showing sonar maps, structural diagrams, harmonic graphs. Thick cables snake along the floor and vanish into the ice through sealed ports. In the center of the main room, behind a heavy transparent barrier, sits the Lemurian crystal core. It is the size of a large washing machine. Though its shape is not simple, it looks grown, not carved. Interlocking rods and plates, all clear as water but with a faint, inner glow that pulses in time with Olivia's own heartbeat. "Crystal Core 19C, Mark says softly, almost with pride. "Our little singing stone." Up close, Olivia sees fine lines running through it, like veins. In some sections, tiny geometric shapes are trapped inside cubes, spirals, nested forms. They look like frozen storms. A low hum tickles her ears. For a moment she cannot tell if it is real sound or just her brain's way of reacting to the sight. "How deep was this buried?" she asks. "About 200 meters below the old ice surface," Maya says, "but the whole complex extends much deeper. We've only mapped a small part. What you're seeing is a central node in a much larger network." On a nearby screen, a 3D model spins slowly. It shows a huge branching structure under the ice shelf, like a root system made of stone and crystal. Lines run between nodes, forming loops, grids, and spirals. "This is just the part we've seen with sonar and micro-drones," Maya says. "There could be more beyond our current range." Olivia steps closer to the glass barrier. As she watches, the faint glow inside the core shifts. The monitor above it shows a matching graph, the same harmonic band she sees in her lab in Palo Alto. Peaks and valleys line up in perfect pattern. Current emission matches global REM harmonic within 99%, the system voice in this lab says. It sounds similar to the one back home, but with a slight accent, tuned by the local engineers. Phase offset, negligible. "Can we reduce the emission?" Olivia asks quietly, just for a few seconds. Maya shakes her head. "We tried," she says. "Dampening fields, counter-frequency blasts, even physical insulation. We can reduce local exposure in this room a bit, but nothing we do here touches what the rest of the structure is sending." It's like trying to silence a city by putting a blanket over a single street lamp. So the real machine is the whole complex, Olivia says. This core is just one visible piece. Exactly, Maya says. Mark joins them at the glass, eyes bright. We think the network under the ice was once spread across much of the planet, he says. Crystal arrays connected by some kind of resonant rock or metal. Over time, tectonic shifts, floods, and ice crushed most of it. Here, in Antarctica, enough survived in one piece that the system could wake again. Woke, Olivia repeats, as if it was asleep. Mark nods. Look at this, he says, pulling up an older graph on the nearby screen. Before the harmonic event, the core just sat there, barely any activity, tiny background noise. Then, 6 months ago, it started showing regular spikes at very low levels, almost lost in the noise. Right around the same time, our global REM grid started picking up weak, repeating patterns in a tiny fraction of dreamers. Those rare patients you showed me last year, Olivia says. The ones who kept reporting the same calm city in their dreams. Exactly, Mark says. We didn't know it then, but the system was doing a dry run, testing the line. Then, 3 weeks ago, it crossed some threshold. The core lit up, the harmonics synchronized, and now we have a full broadcast. Not just broadcast, Olivia says. Feedback. You said the signal changes when our dreamers make choices. Maya nods. We've seen that here, she says, when staff on site entered deeper dream states. Even without implants, the core's pattern shifted. The sonar readings in nearby ice channels changed slightly too. It's like the network under the ice flexes, as if it is paying attention. A chill that has nothing to do with the air temperature slides along Olivia's spine. Let's go to the neuro bay, Maya says. We have sleepers down there right now. You'll want to see this. They pass through another security door and enter a low, wide room, lined with glass-walled sleep pods. Inside each pod, a person lies on a narrow bed, covered in thermal blankets. Electrodes and thin fiber lines connect their heads to the ceiling. Soft blue lights wash over their faces. This is our on-site dream team, Maya says. Volunteers, some staff, some visiting researchers, some military. Right now, 3 are in robe linked to the shared environment. Olivia steps up to the first pod. A tag reads, Subject, Dr. Koefi Mensah, glaciologist, age 44. On the screen above him, his brainwave patterns dance in familiar waves. The harmonic band glows bright and steady. Can we see his dream surface? Olivia asks. Already up, says a young technician at the side console. She wears thick glasses and a heavy sweater with a cartoon penguin on it. Her name tag reads, Lena. Lena taps a few keys. A live model appears on the central screen. The plaza, but not as Olivia has seen it before. This version has rougher edges. The stone is cracked in some places, as if from age. The channels of light still run, but some are dimmer. In the distance, one of the towers leans slightly, like a tooth pushed out of line. Subject Kofi reports a sense of sadness in this version of the plaza. Lena says, less waiting room, more ruin of something once perfect. Does he see the hall of pillars? Olivia asks. Yes, Lena says. He's in there now, actually. The view shifts. The hall stretches ahead, but some pillars are broken. Their tops lie on the floor, patterns spilling out like loose paint. On one intact pillar, the spiral of figures Olivia saw in her own dream swirls slowly, small shapes breaking apart, then rejoining. This is from his last REM cycle, Lena says, pulling up a log. He said the hall felt like a history lesson. He got impressions of a long-ago disaster. Rising water, shaking ground, a sky full of smoke, people. He thought of them as people, but they didn't look exactly human, standing in circles, around crystals like the core, hands touching, minds linked. Did he feel fear? Olivia asks. Some, Lena says, but not panic, more like sorrow and acceptance. He woke with tears in his eyes, but said he felt strangely comforted, as if someone long ago had survived something terrible and wanted him to know that survival was possible. Olivia presses her palm unconsciously against the glass of the pod. fingers close to Kofa's sleeping hand. Planetary memory system, she says softly. Not just data, feelings, lessons, stories told through emotion. Maya nods. This is what we piece together, she says, from dozens of dreams, from sonar, from old rock samples. The Lemurians call them that for now, were not fantasy. They were a real advanced civilization that grew up on this planet long before our written history. They understood resonance, crystal structures, and minds. When they saw that their world was going to collapse, maybe from climate, maybe from something else, they built this system to save themselves, Olivia asks. Maybe to save what mattered most to them, Maya says. Their knowledge, their ways of feeling, their understanding of how to live with a planet that can turn violent. So they built a machine that could talk to the brains of future beings. Olivia says, even if those beings looked or spoke differently, they built it into the sleep state. Mark adds, joining them. Sleep is old. REM is old. If you want a signal to reach across tens of thousands of years, you use something baked into biology, not into fragile technology that rusts and breaks. And you hide your machines where they're protected, Maya says, deep underground, under the sea, under ice, places where surface chaos can crush them as easily. Olivia thinks of Daniel's ruined brain again. The disease had eaten connections that took years to grow, but some older parts had held on longer. Deep reflexes, faint dreams. The oldest systems are often the last to fall. Do we know if they survived? She asks quietly. These Lemurians, did anyone make it through? Maya and Mark exchange a glance. Dream reports suggest some did, Maya says. We've had multiple sleepers here and on other continents see images of small groups standing on high ground, watching water wash over their cities. They feel both grief and a kind of quiet happiness. The impression is, we could not save everything, but we saved this, meaning the memory machine. And they also may have changed themselves, Mark says. Some dreams show people stepping into crystal chambers, lying down, and letting light cover them. We don't know what that means. Stasis, transformation, death, rebirth. The emotions are complex. It could be myth inside their own culture, Olivia says. Stories they told themselves about sacrifice, not literal record. Exactly, Mark says. The machine doesn't hand us facts. It hands us emotional maps. We have to translate, which is dangerous, Maya adds. We might see what we want to see, turn their lessons into our myths, or worse, into weapons. As if on cue, the door at the back of the bay opens. Colonel Rebecca James steps in, wearing a heavy black uniform with a slim sidearm at her hip. She looks smaller without her thick parka, but no less sharp. Speaking of weapons, she says, I've just come from a very long call with the Lemurian Council. They have questions. Maya's jaw tightens. Of course they do. The colonel steps closer, gaze moving over the sleeping subjects, the glowing screens, the humming cables. You're pumping my people full of unknown signals from an ancient machine, she says. Some of them are waking up changed, calmer, sadder, weirdly motivated. And now governments around the world are reporting similar shifts in civilians who never signed up for this. Olivia frowns. Shifts? What kind of shifts? The colonel pulls up a file on her wrist pad and flicks it toward the main screen. A cluster of headlines and data summaries appear. Spontaneous, shared dream reports rise 300% in 2 weeks. Refugee camp in Lima reports healing dreams of calm city New York. Harbor Tower, residents draw same strange symbols. Soldier in Berlin base refuses order after vision of flooded city. In some places, the colonel says, pointing to a graph, people are having broken sleep from nightmares tied to the shared environment. They see towers falling, water rising, bodies in the streets of a stone city. They wake screaming. In others, people say the dreams help them. They wake with less fear, less anger, more patience. So the machine is pushing mixed content, Olivia says. Hard images and soothing ones. That fits with a teaching system. No lesson is all comfort. Try telling that to the parents of a child who won't stop talking about the hall. That shows how everyone drowns, but it's okay. the colonel says sharply. Olivia winces. What are the council's questions? She asks. They want to know if we can control it, the colonel says. Can we filter the signal? Can we decide who gets access? Can we cut it off entirely if needed? Mark shakes his head slowly. We can cut it off, he says. The network under the ice is too big. This core is just a part. We'd have to rip up half the continent to do serious damage. And even then, we don't know if there are other nodes we haven't found. And controlling it? The colonel presses. We're working on models, Mark says. There are suggestive signs that we can shape small things. When Aaron walked a certain path in the city, future dreamers were more likely to feel that path pull at them. It's like leaving a faint trail. But full control? No, we're far from that. So right now we have an ancient system beaming into billions of minds, and we're just watching, the colonel says, hoping it stays friendly. That's not all we're doing, Olivia says. We're learning its structure. Once we know its rules, we can design safe ways to work with it. We can teach people how to handle it. People, the colonel says, or the right people. Maya crosses her arms. I know where this is going, she says. Special access for elites, for military, for corporations with council seats, filtered content for the rest of the planet. Is that the plan? My job is to protect my citizens, the colonel says. If this machine can tilt their emotions, change their choices, we have to consider limiting exposure until we know more. You can limit dreams, Olivia says. You can drug some people, sure. Ban implants, but the signal doesn't need our tech. Kofi here doesn't have an implant. He still walks the halls. All the more reason to act fast, the colonel says. We're seeing early signs of social shifts. She pulls up another graph. Worldwide violent crime rate. Weekly change, minus 2.3%. Online anger metrics, weekly change, minus 4.1%. Sleep disruption-related hospital visits, plus 1.8%. People are a bit calmer, the colonel says. Argue a bit less online, fight less in the streets, but more are going to hospitals with strange sleep complaints, night terrors, sleepwalking, sudden bursts of crying without clear reason. That sounds like the early stages of a deep therapy program, Olivia says. Digging up buried fear. Stress, grief, that's messy before it's clean, or it's the first sign that something outside us is pushing us in directions we don't understand, the colonel says. Maya looks from the colonel to Olivia. You said this is a memory machine, Maya says. What if they didn't only store their past in it? What if they stored plans, suggested paths for the future, for whoever came after them? A guidebook, Mark says, or a warning, or a subtle push, the colonel says, nudging a whole planet toward certain choices, certain emotions. That is power I cannot ignore. Olivia feels the weight of that. She thinks of a night last week when she sat alone in her apartment, watching a storm roll in over the flooded edges of the old city. For a moment, an urge had risen in her chest to go outside, barefoot, and stand in the rain, to feel the water on her skin, to let some old, nameless sadness wash through. The feeling had been strong. It had felt guided. She had stayed inside. Maybe they wanted to help us avoid their mistakes, she says slowly. If they fell because they ignored warnings about climate, or war, or empathy, they might want to tilt us away from those cliffs. Or they might want to tilt us toward being more like them, the colonel snaps. We don't know their ethics. Their idea of good might not match ours. Maybe for them, peace means giving up individual choice. Maybe it means linking minds so tightly that personal will melts. Maya's voice is flat. How different is that from the way some modern states dream? The colonel's jaw flexes, but she doesn't reply. A chime sounds at the main console. Lena turns, frowning. New spike, she says. Subject Abby 47 just entered REM on his own at Travis. No session scheduled. Olivia's heart jumps. Pull his feed, she says. On the central screen, Aaron's brain patterns appear. He is deep in REM, faster than normal. His harmonic band is white hot. He's already in the city, Lena says, eyes darting over the data. His dream surface shows the plaza and a new structure. The image forms, The plaza again, the towers. But now, in the middle of the wide open space, a tall, thin arch stands. It was not there in earlier sessions. Its surface is covered in moving patterns, shifting faster than the pillar's slow flows. That's new, Mark says. Zoom, Olivia says. The arch spirals slightly as it rises, twisting just enough to feel strange. At its center, a thin vertical slice of air looks wrong, like a mirror with no reflection. A portal, Maya suggests quietly. Or a focus point, Olivia says. A deeper node. Aaron's audio feed crackles. Not planned, just pulled in. His rough voice says, in sleep, feels urgent, different from before. Aaron, Olivia says into the mic, her mouth dry. You're in the plaza again. We see a new arch. Can you hear me? His breath catches. Yeah, he murmurs. You're farther, like through water, but I hear you. Do you feel safe? She asks. He pauses. No, he says, but I don't feel attacked. Just seen. Hard. Olivia glances at the Antarctic core graph. The emission has spiked. New layers of pattern ride on the base harmonic, dense and quick. Quantum model is off the charts, Mark says. We're getting interference patterns I've never seen. On the dream surface, Aaron steps toward the arch. The patterns on its surface slow as if it is paying attention only to him now. Aaron, stop, the colonel says sharply. You're stepping into an unknown field. You did not consent to this session. He laughs, but it's broken. I don't think that matters right now, ma'am, he says thickly. It feels like when you almost die and see your life, but it's not my life. It's everything. Abort the link, the colonel orders. Wake him. Lena's fingers fly on the console. Military override, the system replies. Link cannot be safely broken. While subject is in deep harmonic lock, forced exit may cause neural stun or damage. Olivia's stomach turns. We can't yank him, she says. We'll fry his implant. Maybe worse. The colonel curses under her breath. Aaron, Olivia says, voice steady. Listen to me. You are in a military base in California. Your body is safe. You are dreaming. You get to choose what you do. If the arch feels wrong, you can step back. The city doesn't own you. Silence. On the screen, his dot stands just before the arch. Then he does something none of them expect. He turns around. He faces the hall instead, the pillars glowing gently. Feels like a test, he mutters. Like the arch is saying, are you ready to see more? But the hall says, remember first. He walks toward the hall. On the Antarctic feed, the spike in the crystal emission steadies. The wild new patterns calm. The quantum interference settles into smoother waves. He refused, Mark says in a hushed tone. He didn't go through. The system backed off, Maya says. It respected the choice. Olivia releases a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The colonel exhales slowly, or it adjusted, took the slow path because he wasn't ready. Either way, Olivia says, this shows something important. The machine is not ripping control from him. It presents paths. He can choose. That matters. For him, the colonel says, what about billions of people who don't even know they're being offered anything? The question hangs in the air. Aaron drifts through the hall. He pauses at a new pillar. The patterns on it form a shape like a coastline, curling around a dark inner sea. Big waves, he says softly, huge. White water over land. But the feeling isn't fear this time. It's warning and tool. Like here is how things break, and here is how to build better after. Olivia's hands tighten on the back of a chair. We need to talk about the big picture, she says quietly, not just lab sessions. The world is already inside this machine, and the machine is inside the world. People are having their own hall moments without us watching. Maya nods. The Lemurian Council is split, she says. Some want to keep the discovery secret as long as possible. Study it. Use it maybe, for their own gain. Others want full disclosure and open access. So no single group can claim control. And you? Olivia asks. I think secrets this big rot people from the inside, Maya says. But I also think panic helps no one. If we rush this, if we tell the world, Your dreams belong to an ancient machine now. We might break more minds than the signal ever would. Olivia looks at the sleeping subjects, at the core, at the graphs. The phrase that comes to her is simple and cold. We are already part of a lifeboat, she says, built long before we were born. The question is, do we want to steer or just drift? Mark rubs his eyes. You once said consciousness might not be an accident, he says. Maybe this is what you meant. Minds as part of a long chain, each age leaving something for the next. I meant human choices matter, she says. If we just let this run without guiding it, then we're no different from a patient sedated on a hospital bed, letting a machine breathe for them forever. The colonel lifts her chin. What do you suggest? She asks. Spell it out. We need 3 things, Olivia says. First, more data. That means more controlled dream sessions here and around the world, with strict safety checks. Second, clear reports to the council and then to the public, so decisions are shared, not made in a bunker. Third, protocols for mental health, training for people to handle new emotions and images, instead of just being hit by them in the dark. You're talking about teaching the whole planet how to dream with this machine, the colonel says. That's not a small ask. It's smaller than trying to shut it down, Olivia says, and more honest than trying to use it in secret. Maya's eyes shine with a tired, fierce light. I can back controlled sessions and more open science, she says. I have less power over what the council tells the public. But I know this. Leaks are already happening. People share their dreams online. You can stop that. As if to prove her point, Lena taps another key and brings up a live social media wall on one of the side screens. Hashtags Pulse, Shun Calm City, Stone Plaza, Strange Sleep. People post crude sketches of the plaza. Children draw towers and arches. A tired nurse in Lagos writes, had the Stone City dream again. Woke up less angry at my patients. Not sure if that's good or bad. A video plays of a man in flooded Jakarta standing on a rooftop. He says into the camera, I saw an old world break in my sleep. It looked like this, but made of stone. Maybe this is just what happens now. Old ones fell, new ones rise. Doesn't make me feel better, but I feel less alone. The Lemurian memory machine is already in culture, Maya says, whether we like it or not. A soft alarm sounds. Subject AB-47, exiting REM, the system says. Neurolock releasing. Aaron's dream surface fades. The last thing they see is the calm plaza, now with the arch in the distance waiting. Several seconds later, a text comes through from Travis AFB. Subject AB-47, awake, vitals stable. Requests direct call with Dr. Carter. Olivia swallows. Put him through, she says. His face appears on a small inset screen. Hair mussed, eyes still unfocused. He looks exhausted, but present. Doctor, he says. His voice is rough. How do you feel? She asks. Like I ran a marathon in my head, he says. But I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Just full. Full of what? The colonel asks. He looks at her image on his end and nods once in respect. Ma'am, with respect. I don't know how to say it plain, he says. I saw options, futures, not in pictures, in feelings, ways we break, ways we don't. It wasn't telling me what to do. It was showing me paths. And the arch? Olivia asks. He shivers slightly. That felt like a bigger step, he says. Like beyond just memory. Like plugging into something that would change me faster than I'm ready for. So I didn't go. Why not? The colonel asks. Because if I come back different in a way I can't explain, you'll lock all this down and throw away the key, he says bluntly. And I think that would be a mistake. The colonel's eyebrows rise. You're a pilot, Lieutenant. You follow orders. Yes, ma'am, he says. But I also think, and what I felt in there, it wasn't an enemy. It was an older teacher with a lot of scars, maybe too eager, but not cruel. Olivia's chest aches. Aaron, she says, do you feel like it tried to take over your will? He shakes his head slowly. No, he says. It's like it put big heavy books on a table in front of me. I could open them or not, but now that I've seen the covers, it's hard to forget they're there. He rubs his face. Also, he adds quietly, it showed me us, our time, our cities on stilts, our burning skies, our anger, and then it made me feel how they saw themselves, long ago, the pride, the mistakes, the moment they realized it was too late to fix everything. It hurt, but it also gave me something, like assurance that falling isn't the same as failing. Silence settles in the lab. Olivia thinks of billions of people carrying hidden grief about lost homes, drowned coasts, broken systems. She thinks of a machine built by people who watched their own world drown and decided to send comfort and warning forward like a message in a bottle. Thank you, Aaron, she says. We'll debrief later. Rest if you can. Yes, ma'am, he says. And Colonel, he'll follow your orders, but please don't shut this down without thinking real hard first. I think we need it, not just as a threat, as a mirror. The Colonel's jaw works, but she nods. Rest, Lieutenant, she says. The call ends. The lab is quiet, except for the hum of equipment and the faint pulse of the core. Maya turns to Olivia. You asked what it means to be human in a world with this machine, she says. I think we're starting to find out. Olivia looks again at the spinning 3D map of the crystal network under the ice. It looks like a frozen brain, nodes and lines, loops and spirals, a mind turned to stone, waiting for someone to plug eyes and ears into it again. Being human used to mean our inner world was ours alone, she says, voice soft. Now our dreams are part of something bigger that could make us stronger, or it could erase us. Mark puts a hand lightly on her shoulder. Or both in different ways, he says. We don't get to choose whether this exists. We only get to choose how we meet it. On the world map, night is spreading across new time zones. More people are lying down. More lids are closing. More brains are slipping into REM. In a flooded tower in old New York, a young girl falls asleep, listening to rain on the glass. In her dream, she walks on dry stone for the first time in her life. In a camp outside Lima, a tired nurse dozes in a plastic chair and dreams of a hall where pillars show not just loss, but rebuilding. Far under the ice, the Lemurian memory machine hums at a steady pitch. It has waited for ages. Now, at last, the planet above is full of minds ready to listen. Olivia stands between the core and the sleepers, heart pounding with a mix of fear and strange hope. The next step is coming, she thinks. Soon, she will have to decide whether to help turn the volume up or try to muffle it, and the world will have to decide whether to stay a loose collection of private dreamers or to become something new, a planet of listeners. The meeting room in the Lemurian Council complex is cold and too bright. White light falls from panels in the ceiling, washing out the colors on the long glass table. The air smells faintly of metal and recycled water. Outside the tall windows, the Antarctic sky is flat gray, and thin snow moves like dust. 12 people sit around the table, each with a small screen in front of them. Flags and corporate logos hang on the walls. A large world map glows on the far screen, full of small blue dots. Olivia sits near the center, hands folded, trying not to show how tired she is. She has not slept well in days. When she closes her eyes, the plaza is there almost at once. The towers, the arch, the hall. Her dreams are no longer just visits. They are conversations. At the head of the table, a man with silver hair and sharp eyes clears his throat. His name is Arturo Velasquez. He is chair of the Lemurian Council. We are here for one reason, he says, to decide what to do about the signal. He taps his screen. New graphs rise on the main display. Global REM harmonic, sustained spontaneous shared dream reports. 47% of population self-reported emotional change after dreams. 31% sleep-related hospital visits, plus 3.2% violent crime. 5.8% last 30 days. Suicide attempts, minus 2.1% last 30 days. The Lemurian machine, he says, is real. Its effect on our species is real. The question is, do we amplify the signal, dampen it, or try to block it. The room goes quiet. Colonel Rebecca James speaks first. "My position has not changed," she says. "This is an unknown system built by people we do not understand. It touches most human minds every night." "That is too much power. We should dampen it as much as we can. Focus on shielding. Focus on limiting exposure until we know more." A woman with dark hair and a soft voice, Dr. Aisha Kamal from the World Health Alliance, shakes her head. "The cat is out of the bag," she says. "We cannot put it back. Attempts to block the signal are already causing trouble. People given strong sleep drugs to avoid the dreams are having worse outcomes. Panic is rising in areas where rumors say the government is stealing your dreams. If we try to fight this head-on, we may do more harm." A man in a sharp suit with a corporate logo on his lapel leans forward. "We are missing an opportunity," he says. "This machine is a vast source of knowledge. If we amplify the signal in controlled settings, labs, elite schools, special training centers, we could raise a generation of leaders with deeper insight, people who have touched the memory hall, who understand long-term risk in their bones. Imagine climate planners who have felt a world drown, generals who have felt the cost of war the way the Lemurians did." Maya, sitting next to Olivia, speaks up, voice flat. "And what about everyone else?" she asks. "Do they get filtered dreams? Nothing at all? You want to build a class of people who have seen the true lessons and another class kept in the dark?" The man shrugs. "Some people can handle deep contact. Some can't. That's just fact." Olivia's hands tighten around each other. "Is it?" she says. "Or is that just habit? For thousands of years, those in power have said only we can handle the full truth. Look how that turned out." Arturo looks at her. "Dr. Carter, you have been at the center of this from the start. You have seen the data. You have walked the city. What do you propose?" All eyes turn to her. Her heart thumps fast. She takes a breath. "I think we need to treat the Lemurian system like a new layer of reality," she says. "Not a drug, not a weapon, not a toy. A part of our world, like the oceans or the internet. We can turn it off, but we can build ways to live with it that reduce harm. Be specific," the corporate man says. "We have to vote on concrete actions, not metaphors." She stares at him for a moment, then nods. "All right," she says. "First, we stop trying to block the signal with crude methods like forced sedation. Those are causing more damage than the dreams. Instead, we invest in mental health support, more counselors, more sleep clinics, training for doctors to recognize Lemurian-related stress." Dr. Aisha nods quickly. "Second," Olivia continues, "we create a public education program about the shared dreams. Simple, clear, grade school level and up. We explain what the plaza is, what the hall is. We give people language to talk about their dreams, so they are not alone and scared. A guideline for dream hygiene," Aisha adds, "like we did for digital literacy decades ago, teaching kids how to handle the net. Now we teach them how to handle the memory city." Third, Olivia says, "We design voluntary amplification zones, safe labs and sleep centers, where people who want deeper contact can go, with full informed consent and monitoring. Not just elites, anyone, with clear warnings and follow-up care." The corporate man frowns. "You would give any citizen access to potential high-level information. Information wrapped in deep emotion and strange images," Olivia says. "Not a cheat sheet for power. And it does not give direct control over others. It offers perspective. Hard-earned perspective. That is not something we should hoard." Colonel James taps her pen on the table. "And what about dampening?" she asks. "Do you propose we do nothing to limit the signal's reach?" Olivia shakes her head. "We should research gentle dampening tools that people can choose," she says. "Sleep masks that shift their brain sensitivity. Sound patterns that pull them toward personal dreams instead of the shared city if they need a break. Not forced, offered." Maya smiles faintly. "A volume dial for the machine in each home." "Exactly," Olivia says. "This can't be top-down only. We need personal control, as much as the system allows." "Can the system be shaped from our side?" Arturo asks. "We've heard about Aaron's choices in the plaza, about how refusing the arch changed the core's pattern. Yes, Olivia says. We have early proof that the Lemurian machine reacts to how we move through it. If we guide large groups of trained dreamers to focus on certain paths of healing, of cooperation, it may strengthen those roots, make them easier for others to find. In that way we can talk back to ghosts. The corporate man scoffs. Ghosts who built a machine that still works perfectly after tens of thousands of years, Maya says. We shouldn't underestimate them. Arturo steeples his fingers. There is another option, he says slowly. We could decide as a council to make full use of this, amplify it everywhere. No dampening, no filters. Let the Lemurian system speak as loudly as it can. Let humanity be changed by it, whatever that means. The room stirs. That would be reckless, the colonel says sharply. We do not know the end state. We might see mass psychosis, people losing touch with waking reality. Or Aisha says softly, we might see something new, a slow, deep change. Less violence, more patience, more sense of history, a wider we. The silence after that is heavy. Olivia sits very still. 3 nights ago she had her longest dream in the city yet. In the dream she stood in the hall of pillars. The air was soft and warm. At the far end, a pale, featureless figure waited, but this time it had shape, not a face exactly, but hints of eyes, a mouth, 1,000 tiny pattern shifts that felt like expressions. When she walked closer, it did not speak. Instead, images and feelings rose in her mind like tides. She saw a coastline of smooth stone years ago, with Lemurian children running along it. She felt the heavy joy of parents watching. Then the sky darkened. The sea climbed. Crystals hummed. She felt the terror and stubbornness of those who decided to stay in the coastal cities, to die with their homes. She felt the tired hope of those who climbed high ground to build the memory machines. Then the view turned. She saw the current world, tall glass towers in shallow water, smoke over low cities, an old woman on a floating shack in Jakarta watching a storm, a young boy in a desert camp near Cairo, drawing towers on the floor with his finger. The feelings around these images were not anger, not pity, something like respect and gentle warning. Then a question rose in her mind. It did not come as words. It felt like standing at a fork in a road. Then a question rose in her mind. It did not come as words. It felt like standing at a fork in a road. She understood it as, do you want to join the chain, or do you want to walk away? In the dream she had answered, in her own way. We want to listen, she had thought, but we don't want to lose ourselves. The figure had changed then. For a moment it looked like Daniel, her brother, but older, healthy, eyes clear. It was just a flash, a trick of her own mind maybe, but the feeling that came with it was strong. We do not want you to lose yourselves either. Then she woke, heart racing, tears on her face. Now in the council room, she thinks of that feeling. Chair Velasquez, she says quietly, I don't think the Lemurian system wants to erase us. All our data says it adapts. It respects refusals. It uses gentle pulls, not force. It is old, but it's not a god. It is a tool built by people who knew pain. If we shut it out completely, we throw away a gift that might help us avoid their fate. If we open the floodgates with no care, we risk harming millions who are not ready. So again the corporate man says, what do you recommend? In simple terms, Olivia meets his eyes. A middle way, she says. No global blackout. No forced full blast. We accept that the machine is part of our world. We help people meet it with support and knowledge. We build ways for those who want deeper contact to do it safely. Where we can gently dampen, we offer that as a choice. And we keep watching, ready to adjust if signs of harm rise. The colonel frowns but says nothing. Arturo leans back, considering. This council does not rule the world, he says, but we shape first moves. We send signals. If we choose open education, voluntary contact zones, and research into personal dampening, others will likely follow. He looks around the table. We will vote on 3 resolutions, he says. Resolution 1, No attempt to destroy or fully shut down the Lemurian network, recognizing that such attempts are unlikely to work and may cause unknown side effects. Resolution 2. Creation of a global public education campaign about shared dreams in the memory city. Resolution 3. Development of regulated dream centers and personal tools for both amplification and dampening, all voluntary, with strong medical oversight. He pauses. Those who want full amplification or strict suppression will of course continue to argue, he says, but these resolutions are a start. They vote. Support for Resolution 1 is nearly unanimous. Even the Colonel raises her hand. Destroying the machine would be too risky, and likely impossible. Resolution 2 also passes with wide support. Only one corporate representative votes no, worried about feeding panic with too much public talk. Resolution 3 is closer. The Colonel hesitates, then votes yes with a grim look. She would prefer more control, but she sees that secret programs would only breed more distrust. Arturo nods. So it begins, he says. We do not choose to become a planet of listeners in a single day, but we are pointing our ship in that direction. The meeting ends. Outside, Olivia walks with Maya along a narrow metal balcony that looks out over the ice field. The wind cuts through their coats, but the cold wakes Olivia up. You did well in there, Maya says. You held the middle when everyone wanted to run to the edges. I don't know if the middle will hold, Olivia says. People are scared. Some are already forming cults around the dreams. Others are calling them mind viruses. True, Maya says. But they can say no one tried to guide this well. Below them, machines rumble across the ice, hauling supplies. In the distance, a small group of staff jogs in a tight heat suit cluster, laughing, breath steaming. Have you noticed, Maya says quietly, how some people here are softer lately? Softer, Olivia asks. Softer, Olivia asks. Less sharp in a bad way, Maya says. Less quick to snap, more likely to ask, what do you need, even when tired? Olivia nods slowly. I've seen it, she says. Also in Palo Alto. People argue, but it feels less deadly, like they know, somewhere deep, that they are on the same sinking ship. Maya smiles sadly. Maybe that's one of the first lessons, she says. We all share the same sea. That night, back in her small room at the station, Olivia lies in her narrow bed and stares at the ceiling. Her personal terminal shows a slow news scroll. Global dream centers planned in 27 cities world. Health Alliance releases guide to shared dreams youth. Groups organize plaza meetups to talk about sleep. New religious movements declare Lemurian machine ancient angel. She turns the screen off. The hum of the station fades into a softer sound in her mind, the slow, gentle beat of millions of sleeping brains. She closes her eyes. The plaza forms around her, clear and bright. She stands barefoot on the warm, smooth stone. The air is mild. The channels of light run like water, carrying soft glow in thin streams. The towers rise, steady and still. This time she is not alone. Figures move across the plaza. They are human. Some look like kids, some like old people, some in between. Some look like soldiers in simple clothes, some like nurses, some like workers with calloused hands. Their faces are fuzzy, but their presence feels solid. She knows, somehow, that each is a real sleeper somewhere on Earth. As she watches, some of them walk toward the hall. Others stand in small circles, as if in quiet talk, though she hears no words. A few wander toward the arch, which stands in the center of the space, like a patient question. Near her, a young girl with curly hair and dark skin stands with bare feet on the stone. She looks up at Olivia, eyes wide. You're real, the girl says. Her voice feels like a soft push in Olivia's mind, not sound through air. I think so, Olivia answers, surprised she can speak. My name is Amara, the girl says. I live in Lagos. My mom said if I saw the city again, I should try to find someone who remembers it too. Olivia's throat tightens. I remember, she says. I've been here many times. Amara smiles. Good, she says. It was scary at first. The hall showed me bad things. Big waves, cracks in the ground. But then it showed me something else. People sharing food on high ground. Kids playing again. I woke up and told my mum, and she cried. Why? Olivia asked softly. Because she said no dream ever told her she could be okay before, Amara says. Only that we were going to lose more. Olivia feels tears press at her own eyes. Come, she says. Do you want to walk a bit? They move together across the plaza. Around them, other pairs and small groups form. Some holding hands, some walking side by side. No one bumps into anyone else. The space adjusts, making room. This is new, Olivia thinks. Before, dreamers felt alone here, even if they were in the same place. Now we can see each other. As if in reply, a gentle warmth spreads under her feet. At the far end of the plaza, the pale figure appears again, but this time, it is not alone. There are many figures, lined along the edge, more like a crowd than a single guide. Each glows with soft patterns. She feels more than hears a message rise up through the stone. It is time, the feeling says. Time to listen together. The world around her shifts. For a moment, she is not in the plaza but in 100 places at once. She is on a crowded street in Mumbai, hot air full of spice and car horns. She is in a small fishing boat near Chile, ocean swell under her feet. She is in a glass tower in Toronto, looking out over lights. She is in a refugee camp in Sudan, dust in the air and plastic sheets flapping. In each place, she feels the same small hum under the skin of the world, the Lemurian signal. A soft, steady call. Then she snaps back to the plaza, heart racing. Amara squeezes her hand. Did you see? The girl asks. All the places? Yes, Olivia says, voice shaking a bit. I did. They showed me that last week, Amara says. I was scared I was dying. But then it felt gentle, like being part of many people at once, but still me. What did it make you feel in the end? Olivia asks. Small, Amara says, but not lost, like a little piece in a big picture, and like, if I am kind, it matters more than I thought. The simplicity of that hits Olivia harder than any graph. The Lemurian machine is not giving them instructions, it is giving them scale. It is shrinking their private worries and enlarging their sense of connection. Across the plaza, she sees someone she recognizes. Aaron Blake stands near the arch, hands in his pockets. He looks more relaxed than she has ever seen him awake. When their eyes meet, he grins. Nice to finally see you here, he says, voice in her mind. I've been here, she says, just never with this many people. Yeah, he says, some switch flipped. It's like the walls between us thinned a bit, still there. But you can wave through them now. What about the arch? She asks, nodding at the tall, twisting shape beside him. He shrugs. Still waiting, he says. I've walked close a few times. Feels less scary now, but I think I'll keep learning in the hall a bit longer. She nods. I told the council you did that, she says, turned away. Chose the slower path. He smiles wryly. Glad my cowardice is now policy, he says. But seriously, it felt right. If this machine wants us to join some deeper network, we should go in with eyes open, not rushed. A soft presence stirs near them. The pale figure stands a few steps away, watching. This time, when Olivia looks at it, she feels something new, a faint sense of humor, of patience, of waiting for children to catch up. She directs a clear thought toward it. Who are you? She asks. What are you? The answer comes as a wave of feeling that unfolds in layers. First, images of many Lemurian faces, different but all sharing a certain calmness in the eyes, hands on crystal, minds linked. Then a feeling of merging, but not erasing, like many singers forming a choir, voices still distinct. Then the sense of long waiting, ages of cold, slow listening to the faint signals of animal brains above, until those signals grew bright enough to reach. Finally, a simple, clear feeling. We are what is left, it says without words, not bodies, not a king, Not a god, a memory of how to remember. Olivia swallows. Why now, she thinks. Why wake us now? Another wave. She sees the current Earth from space. Clouds, blue, brown, the thin gray smear of smoke, patches of dark at the poles where ice has melted, lines of light at night. The feelings with this image are concern and respect. Because you are at a cliff, the message says, like we were. Because you have tools we did not. Because you are changing the sky and sea. Because you can still turn. Turn how? Aaron asks beside her, thinking the question before she can. Images rise of choices. Factories that keep burning or slow down. Forests cut or regrown. Walls built or bridges. Children taught to fear or to think. The feelings are not commands. They are pictures of if and then. If you pull harder on fear, then this shows war and collapse. If you pull harder on care, then this shows hard work, slower lives, fewer shiny things, but more faces not twisted by panic. Amara tugs Olivia's hand. It's not telling us, do this, the girl says. It's saying, here is what happened when we did what we did. Please look. Olivia nods. We are not your pets, she thinks toward the figure. Not your second try. We are our own. Warmth spreads through her chest. Good, the feeling says. We did not build this to make copies. We built it to send warning and company. Company. That hits her. For all their crystal and skill, the Lemurians were still scared of being alone in history. They did not want their story to vanish. They wanted someone, someday, to sit with them in memory and say, we see you, we see you, she thinks now, clear and firm. A deep, quiet gladness washes through the plaza. The figure's outline softens. Around Olivia, more people look up, as if feeling the same wave. Some laugh softly, some cry, some simply stand, hands on their own hearts. The arch in the center glows a bit brighter, but no force drags them toward it. It is just there, an option. Olivia senses that passing through it would mean deeper contact, maybe joining the Lemurian mind net more fully, maybe carrying their patterns more strongly, maybe changing faster. She feels its pull, but she also feels something else. The slow, steady tug of billions of small choices in waking life. Recycling bins filled or ignored, votes cast or skipped, comforts kept or shared. Not yet, she thinks toward the arch. We have work to do out there first. The glow softens as if in agreement. The scene fades. Olivia wakes in her narrow bed, pillow damp, chest sore and full. She sits up slowly. A soft chime comes from her terminal. New Global Dream Center protocol drafts. Review requested first public plaza guide video reaches. 200 million views. Local school requests. Talk from Dr. Olivia Carter on safe dreaming. She laughs once, weakly. They are really doing it. Later that month, back in Palo Alto, Olivia stands in a quiet room with soft chairs and plants under grow lights. A sign on the wall reads, Community Dream Center, Pilot Site 01 Welcome. Rest, share, learn. Inside, a small group of people sits in a circle. A delivery driver, a high school teacher, a retired nurse, a teenage boy still in a school uniform, a tired-looking mother with a baby asleep in, a carrier. I'm not here as some dream guru, Olivia says. I'm here as a scientist and as someone who has had these dreams just like you. Let's keep it simple. Who wants to share? The retired nurse lifts her hand. The first time I saw the hall, I thought I was losing my mind, she says. I saw people drowning. I woke up shaking. But then I came here. I learned it's part of something bigger. That helped. Last night, the hall showed me something else. People building houses on stilts, sharing food. It makes it easier to go back to my clinic every day, to deal with what we see. The teenage boy speaks next, voice cracking a bit. I'm scared to sleep, he admits. I keep dreaming of that arch. It feels huge. I don't want to go through. But I'm scared that if I refuse, you'll miss something important. Olivia nods. I feel that too, she says honestly. Here's what we've learned so far. The system doesn't punish you for saying no. It offers. You choose. And there is plenty to learn without taking the deepest steps right away. Think of it like school. You don't jump from grade 8 to graduate math in one day. You grow into it. The mother shifts her baby gently. My daughter is 5, she says. She draws the plaza in her notebooks. She says the stone feels like kind rock. I don't know how much to tell her. Age-appropriate truth, Olivia says. You can say, many people are having a special dream of a safe city. It shows sad and happy things from long ago to help us now. If it scares you, we can talk about it. You can tell the dream you want to stop and think of a place that makes you feel safe. You're not alone. The delivery driver frowns. My brother says this is all a trick, he says, a way for governments to control us. He won't sleep more than 4 hours. He drinks to stay awake. He's getting sick. I don't know how to help him. Olivia's chest hurts. We can force people to trust, she says, but you can share what you know. Share that there are places like this, where people talk about it openly. Maybe he'll come, maybe he won't. In the end, we all still have agency, even if a machine is humming under our dreams. After the session, as people file out, a young woman hangs back. Dr. Carter, she asks, do you think in the end, this thing will make us all think the same? Olivia shakes her head. I don't, she says. The Lemurian machine shows us patterns and feelings, but each person still interprets them through their own life. A farmer in Kenya and an engineer in Tokyo can walk the same hall and come out with different ideas. The shared part is the feeling of being part of a long story. What we do with that is up to us. The woman nods slowly. That helps, she says. Thank you. That night, Olivia walks home through the damp Palo Alto streets. The air smells of wet earth and distant salt. The sidewalks are lined with smart lights and low shrubs in recycled containers. Above, the sky glows faintly. Somewhere beyond it, satellites pass, some now tuned to watch global REM patterns more closely than ever before. In the south, far beyond her sight, Antarctica lies in darkness, the Lemurian network humming under its ice. Her wrist buzzes with a message from Mark. New data. After public education launch, sleep-related ER visits flattening, early signs of self-organized. Hall groups. People meet to share specific node experiences. Antarctic. Core emission. Stable. New subtle pattern emerging when large groups focus on mutual aid in dreams. He adds a short line. Looks like we really can talk back. She smiles. When she sleeps that night, the plaza greets her like an old friend. There are more people now, not a crowd in the busy sense, but a steady presence. Some nod to each other. Some sit in small circles, eyes closed, as if meditating together. A calm, quiet busyness. She walks to the hall. Inside, the pillars show new shapes, scenes of people in her own time helping each other across high currents. Building raised gardens, sharing old stories. Lemurian images still appear, stone cities, crystal chambers, but now they mix with modern ones. It feels less like a museum of a dead world and more like a shared workshop. At the far end, the pale figure watches. This time, when she reaches it, she does not ask questions. She simply stands beside it, shoulder to shoulder, and looks back down the hall at the stream of people and feelings. For the first time, she feels something simple and clear from it, like a hand-signed note. Thank you, it says. She blinks. For what? She thinks. For answering, the feeling replies. We called. You did not run. You argued. You asked. You bent. You did not kneel. That is good. She laughs softly, even though no sound leaves her lips. What happens now? She asks. The answer comes as a gentle, open space. No fixed picture, just a sense of wide road. Now it says, you live, you choose, you add your own pillars. She looks at the hall and sees, for a moment, a pillar with patterns she knows are hers, not her face or her name, but her choices, her fears, her care. A record of how a single human tried to hold a middle path between fear and surrender. In the waking world, more dream centers open. Children in schools learn new words: REM, harmonic, shared environment, memory hall. They draw both Lemurian and modern scenes in art classes. They argue about what the dreams mean, the way kids once argued about old myths. Governments still try to use the system. Military labs try to train soldiers to calm themselves faster through dream practice. Corporations sponsor insight retreats that flirt with turning the dreams into status symbols. But all of it is harder now. Too many people know what the plaza looks like. Too many have walked the hall. The machine is not a secret that can be kept in bunkers. It is a river that runs through every sleeping mind. Slowly, the worst edges of panic smooth. People who cannot handle the dreams use personal dampening tools, at least for a time. Those who want deeper contact visit dream centers, where trained staff sit with them after they wake, helping turn raw feelings into words, art, plans. On talk shows, guests say things like, "Last night the hall showed me how my anger at my neighbor is tied to fear I got from my father. Maybe I don't want to carry that forward." On message boards, users share gentle paths in the city, ways to find soothing pillars first, before facing the hardest images. Religions shift. Some declare the Lemurian network a gift from their god. Others call it a test. Some ignore it, staying with older stories. People mix, match, argue. Faith persists, but with a new, quiet layer, the shared knowing that somewhere, under ice and stone, a memory of another age watches and listens. Years pass. The climate does not suddenly heal. Coasts do not leap back. Pain does not vanish. But in some places, storms find cities better prepared. In some parliaments, votes swing toward long-term plans by margins so small they might have been decided by one person's changed dream. In some streets, fights stop just before they start, when someone remembers a pillar scene of what violence leads to. None of this can be fully credited to the machine. Humans still have greed, fear, love, bravery, but the Lemurian memory system has slipped into the background of human life like a steady metronome, keeping a slow beat of shared history in the dark. On a quiet night in 2098, Olivia sits on a bench above the partially flooded edge of old San Francisco. Moonlight lies on the water. Small boats drift. New buildings rise on higher ground behind her, their windows soft with warm light. She is older now. There are silver hairs at her temples, lines at the corners of her eyes. She feels them when she smiles, which she does now as a gaggle of teenagers runs past, laughing, some wearing cheap Dream Center bracelets. Beside her, Aaron sits with a cane between his knees. A training accident years ago left his spine not quite as strong as before. He moves slower, but his eyes still spark. "Remember when we thought the arch was the big choice?" he says. "It still might be," Olivia says. "We still don't know what happens if someone goes fully through. Some have tried," he says, "deep in lab sessions, with all the safeties we can manage." "I know," she says. "Some came back, very quiet, not empty, just far away. Others came back with new calm, new focus. A few didn't come back whole." "And you?" he asks, "still staying here in the shallow end with the kids?" She smiles. "I like the shallow end," she says. "It's where most of life happens." He nods. They fall silent. Above them, the stars are faint behind a thin haze. Somewhere beyond sight, satellites track sleep. Far south, under ice, crystals hum. Olivia closes her eyes for a moment. She does not fall fully asleep, but the plaza rises in her mind like a memory. She sees people walking, pillars glowing, figures watching. She feels the long chain stretching back to the Lemurians and forward to whoever might come after humans. For a second, she feels Daniel's hand in hers, small and warm as it was when they were children. It is just a feeling, no image, but it is enough. She opens her eyes. "Being human," she says quietly, more to herself than to Aaron, means having a small, bright light inside a huge dark. For so long we thought that light was alone. Now we know it's part of a web. I don't know if that makes us more or less special, but it makes us less alone. Aaron chuckles softly. "Planet of listeners, huh?" he says. Do you think that's what we are now? Not fully, she says. Not yet. But we're learning to hear, to listen backward to those who came before, sideways to each other, and maybe one day forward to those who will follow. She looks at the moonlit water. Maybe, she adds, that's all any thinking world can aim for. As night deepens, more people on Earth lie down, close their eyes, and slip into REM. Some dream only of private things, lost loves, old fears, weird mishmashes of daily life. Some find themselves again in the plaza, under a soft, sourceless light. Some walk the hall, some stand by the arch and turn away, or step through, or simply sit and watch others. Under the Antarctic ice, the Lemurian memory machine hums on, no longer just a lonely beacon in the dark, but part of a living loop. The chain has not closed, it has grown. And in the quiet dark of sleeping minds, on this small, warm planet, a new kind of listening continues. Careful, stubborn, human.